Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day. Before I get to the main context of this video, I would like to wish you all a really Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope that during these difficult times, you're all enjoying yourselves as much as you possibly can and having a fairly good time. Now, talking about Violet Evergarden, I must admit I was really late to the bandwagon. I had heard rumors as well as opinions from some people that I knew that this anime would break me, would make me cry, but at this point, honestly, I had watched so many animes and had been left disappointed so many of those times that it was really difficult to believe any of those claims. But at the same time, the things that I heard about this anime did pique my curiosity, and so I just decided to give it a watch, and I'm really glad that I did. Because Violet Evergarden is a truly beautiful piece of art. Let us first talk about the very first episode of this anime. They say that the first episode of a series will often tell you what direction it will take, and Violet Evergarden's first episode was breathtakingly good. In just one episode, the anime tells us almost every aspect of its protagonist. To better emphasize on this point, I would like to discuss the things that we get to learn about Violet in just the course of the first episode. The environment and places where we grow up condition us into the people that we become later on in our life. Violet was someone who was thrown into the world of war at a very young age. She had seen nothing but the unforgiving and relentless nature of war, and this environment had desensitized her to emotions to such an extent that she did not even recognize them anymore. I would like to point out how much of a genius move this is, because by desensitizing the main character, the writers essentially establish Violet as a blank slate, and this provides a great platform to present her growth as a character in future. I would also like to point out that because Violet's emotional intelligence is practically non-existent, she only has her logical method of thinking to rely upon. This is one of the reasons why Violet often comes across as rude or blunt, as we see when Mrs. Gilbert tells Violet to think of her as her own mother, but Violet responds by saying that she never had any parents to begin with, so she does not require any replacements, nor does she intend to become a replacement child for her. Another thing that this episode tells us about Violet is that she only sees her own value as a tool to Major Gilbert, and she goes as far as to say that if she is of no use to Gilbert, then she must die. This is once again an example of Violet's personality being affected because of her environment. Her viewpoint of herself as nothing more than a tool can be attributed to two different reasons. Number one, her own environment, and number two, her loyalty to Gilbert. Let us talk about the environmental factors first. While it is not explicitly shown or stated in the anime, Violet is supposedly a part of an experiment that creates human weapons. Before she joined Gilbert, she killed a number of soldiers under the command of Gilbert's brother, Naval Captain Detto Frito, or as it is called in the English dub, Diet Fried. I'm not even kidding, that is literally his exact name in the English dub. But anyway, moving on. The only thing that she has ever done since the time she was a kid was kill to survive, and doing something like that for years at such a young and developmental age dehumanized her in her own eyes to the point where she did not even consider herself to be human anymore. But the second and more important reason is her loyalty towards Gilbert. We see this when a client is getting his letter written by Catalea or Catelea. I am going to pronounce it as Catlea. Please forgive me if I butcher some names. These are just really difficult to pronounce. I will be putting a picture of her just in case. But getting back to the point, we see this when a client is getting his letter written by Catlea and speaks about how this girl was the first person to treat him kindly. We are immediately shown a flashback where we see glimpses of Violet and Gilbert. For Violet, Gilbert was the first person to treat her kindly. Even though she could not comprehend kindness as an emotion, she still understood the pure intentions behind Major Gilbert's behavior. This gave rise to a fierce sense of loyalty towards Gilbert, which unconsciously turns into its own kind of love. Which brings me back to the very first scene of the first episode. When Violet sees the brooch that matches the color of Gilbert's eyes, she describes it as a strange feeling, something that we see her struggling to understand. This feeling, presumably, is love. I'm not sure if everybody looks at it the same way that I do, but considering that Violet's entire journey in the anime is about understanding the true meaning of love, I do not think that it would be much of a stretch to assume that what she felt in that moment was in fact love. However, given the lack of understanding when it comes to emotions, she could not comprehend what she felt. Another very important aspect that I would like to mention here is Violet's arms. When we first get to meet her, she has metal arms. While to many people it might seem like a technique to make the audience sympathize with her, there is actually a lot more cultural relevance to this detail. In a lot of Eastern cultures, our hands are considered to be symbolic of our humanity. Think about it this way, whether we pray, eat, buy something, greet someone, or hold our loved ones, We do it all with our hands. In other words, our hands are what connect us to humanity. And when a person loses their arms or their hands are severed, they essentially lose that connection. This cultural reference is something that is also very commonly used in one of my favorite shonen animes, Hunter x Hunter, but that is a video for a different day. For now, let us do a recap of everything that we learn about Violet just from the first episode of this anime. Violet has non-existent emotional intelligence. She views herself as nothing more than a tool. She has been symbolically disconnected from her humanity. She has a very logical way of going about things. And lastly, she has been established as a blank slate of sorts. A slate on which the writer can now create an entirely new character from the scratch. That is a lot of information for just one episode, and the fact that the anime managed to do it without making it feel like they simply dumped information on the audience gives a lot of legitimacy to the writing of this show. I also really appreciate how Violet Evergarden takes a very episodic approach towards its narrative. What I mean here is that each episode of the anime tends to follow a certain formula, according to which two things will happen. Firstly, Violet will learn more about human emotions in each episode, and secondly, in the process of learning human emotions, Violet will positively influence those around her. A good starting point to establish this would be in episode 3. Episode 3 marks the beginning of Violet's journey towards understanding the meaning of love, and this particular episode is about learning to be genuine. Violet is seen going to a school for dolls. We see her doing extraordinarily well in most aspects, but when the time comes to actually write a letter, she fails to convey the true feelings of a person. In fact, she does not even call her task a letter, but instead calls it a mission. When she writes a letter on Luculia's behalf, Luculia points out that her letter feels more like a report. And honestly, Violet is not to blame for this. It's not her fault that the only human interaction that she had before this was on the battlefield where she was expected to complete her mission. But as the episode progresses, Luculia's treatment of her helps ease Violet slightly. And when Luculia breaks down in front of her and opens up about her relationship with her brother, that is when Violet is actually able to somewhat understand on a very basic level about Luculia's feelings. The letter that she wrote to Luculia's brother was no masterpiece by any measure, but the one sentence that she did write was genuine at the very least. We also need to note how the only time when she was able to write a proper letter on the behalf of Luculia was when Luculia broke down in front of her. They say that people are most honest when they are vulnerable, and that is exactly what happened here. A lesser series would have done disservice to this opportunity and would have failed to capitalize, but Violet Evergarden does not make that mistake. It does not rush Violet's character development to a point where she suddenly understands Luculia's feelings, because the reality of the situation is that she really does not. The headmistress of the doll school once said that an ideal doll needs to be able to convey the emotions of other people through letters. However, Violet is not quite there yet. She cannot yet understand the true feelings of people. Luculia in her state of vulnerability was very honest and straightforward about her feelings. What I mean here is that Violet at this point was still not at a stage where she could actually understand what a person was feeling. She still needed the person to be completely honest with her. However, this is still a major step forward for Violet because now she at least does not take the words of others at face value. Instead, when someone is emotionally honest with her, she is able to understand the basic essence of their emotions and write a very short and basic letter. In addition to taking a step in the right direction, Violet also helps strengthen the bond between Luculia and her brother through the letter, further solidifying the point that as much as Violet learns about human emotions in each episode, she also positively influences the people that are around her. In episode 4, we get a look into the life of Iris, one of the dolls that Violet works with. A very crucial scene in this episode would be when Iris started crying in front of Violet, losing her calm over the fact that Violet told everyone about her past with Amom. At this particular moment, Violet admits that people have very sensitive and complicated emotions, which makes it difficult for her to understand what they are actually thinking, hence establishing the claim that Violet still needs people to be straightforward and honest about their emotions for her to truly understand. But this is the point of this episode. It is now that Violet learns that human emotions do not necessarily follow a predetermined pattern and are much more complex than that. This takes me back to episode 2 when Catalea tells her that sometimes we humans test other people in order to confirm our own existence. And in the process, we contradict ourselves. And speaking of testing other people to confirm our own existence, this phenomena can also be seen in episode 5, where the prince in his letters to Princess Charlotte constantly demeans himself, saying that he is not a man of her dreams, And even though he has the title of a prince, his personality isn't exactly that. In fact, he even goes as far as to say that he doesn't understand a woman's heart and will probably disappoint her. He says in his letters that the previous letters that reached the princess were all works of an accomplished doll. When the princess counters this by saying that she is in love with the man that she met 4 years ago and not with the letters, the prince once again lowers himself by saying that he only comforted her because she was crying. It almost seems as though the prince is doing everything that he can to push Charlotte away, but the ones who actually paid attention to episode 2 would know that this is nothing but an extension of Cataleya's speech to Violet about the contradiction of human nature. But even so, we see Violet giving cues to the princess on how to go about the current situation. And with some assistance in thinking, Charlotte is able to convince the prince that no matter what kind of issues he presents her with, she is ready to take all of them head on. What is also noteworthy in this episode is that this is the first instance of Violet taking an independent decision. Actually, on second thought, this would be the second instance of independent decision making on her part, the first being her goal to understand what the words "I love you" mean. But even so, this episode is monumental for Violet's character because we finally get to see her coming out of her shell. We get to see her look at her job as a doll not just as a mission but something more. So far in the series, we have seen Violet stick to her orders, for lack of a better word, but in this episode, we finally get to see her cross the bounds of her missions and make her own decision. As Princess Charlotte sits in front of her, weeping over the lack of genuineness in the letters of the prince, Violet apologizes for the possibility of crossing any limits and goes on to talk to the doll hired by the prince, which happens to be none other than Cataleya herself, and ensures that all the exchanges between the prince and the princess will now be personally written by the two without the help of any dolls. This genuine exchange between the two young people not only leads to an eventual lifelong assistance between the two, but also ensures peace for an extended period of time. Violet, the very same girl who just a couple of episodes ago had zero understanding of people and their feelings, is now bringing entire nations together with her letters, which only goes on to show how far she has come as a person. The next episode is Violet learning about another emotion: loneliness. The episode follows Violet as she and her partner Leon are supposed to make copies of decaying books at an observatory. At the beginning of the episode, we see Leon harboring prejudice against the profession of being a doll, but even so, the two of them manage to work quite efficiently. Leon comes across as a person who lives with a chip on his shoulder. He is very detached and introverted. It does not take us long to come to know why he is the way that he is. We come to know that Leon's father was also a scholar at the observatory, but he later on disappeared on an expedition. His mother soon followed suit, embarking on a mission to find her husband, leaving behind a child who went on to grow without his parents. Leon is a person who knows exactly what loneliness feels like. Even so, he does not hate his mother. He still wants to see her, and this conversation with Leon sparks a sense of curiosity in Violet. She admits that she does not understand if she feels lonely or not, but upon inspecting her feelings a little bit, Leon tells her that what she feels when she is not around the Major is indeed loneliness. The feeling of a heavy heart when you don't get to see that person for a long time, that is loneliness. Once again, Violet Evergarden uses its episodic approach to help Violet learn about a new feeling. And once again, not once deviating from its formula, Violet ends up influencing the people around her. So far in the series, Leon lived with a chip on his shoulder, but actually refused to do anything about it. He would sit with a girl that he just met and tell her everything about his life, but he did not take any steps to change his condition. However, once he meets Violet, he realizes that everyone has their own struggles. Violet's past is not very different from Leon himself, and her struggle is something that Leon can actually relate to. Even so, as much as she struggles, Violet is constantly moving forward. She is not just sitting and complaining. She wants to know the meaning of love, and she is doing everything that she possibly can to reach her goal. And this is what triggers a response from Leon. He realizes that Violet's struggle is just as real as his own, but unlike him, she is moving forward to achieve her goals. Leon realizes that sitting and living a life with a chip on his shoulder will only lead to a life that is further filled with regrets. And he does not want that anymore. Meeting with someone who is just like him acquaints him to a sense of hope, and he decides to find his parents on his own. Episode 7 follows Violet on her way to learn about one more emotion, and that is empathy. When she meets her client, the famous playwright Oscar Webster, Violet mentions that he is being difficult to work with. I would like to emphasize the point that I made in the beginning of this video, where I said that we are a product of our environment. Violet knew nothing about the environment or the struggles of Oscar, and because of that very reason, she felt no empathy towards him. Even so, she tries her best to be cooperative. When Violet is transcribing the script for him, we see her wanting a happy ending for the protagonist of the play, Olive. And there could have been no better way to introduce Violet to empathy than making her empathize with a fictional character like Olive. Like I mentioned earlier, the reason why Violet does not feel empathy towards Oscar is because she does not understand the reason behind his behavior. But with Olive, Violet knows her entire story. Every aspect of Olive's life was introduced in the play, and thus was also introduced to Violet. And Violet understands her emotions because she can see the reason behind Olive's actions in the play. And that helps Violet empathize with Olive. Violet might not have the ability to empathize with people by understanding their feelings, but she was still introduced to empathy through the play, because in order to empathize with Olive, she did not really have to understand her feelings. The exposition in the play did that job for her. But now that she had come face to face with the new emotion called empathy, she could further develop it inside of herself. Soon after this scene, we see Oscar telling Violet about what happened to his daughter, Olivia. When Violet comes to realize how similar Oscar's experience of loss is to her own, she can finally relate. She understands how Oscar feels because she herself feels what it is like to not be able to meet the person that you want to see the most. Upon learning about his past, Violet can actually relate to him and as a result, empathize with him. As Violet stands with the parasol that was once held by Oscar's daughter, Oscar is overwhelmed and asks her to go home. Once again, we see how far Violet has come in terms of exercising her own free will, as she refuses to follow Oscar's order and says that she wants a happy ending for Olive. But like I mentioned earlier in this video, Violet does not just learn about emotions herself, but also influences people in the process. Violet's adamance and refusal to go home, coupled with the fact that Oscar sees glimpses of his own daughter in her, eventually result in Oscar deciding that he cannot let the story end like this. He decides that he will not let his daughter down and will give the protagonist as well as the audience a happy ending. Oscar is thankful to Violet and decides to express his gratitude by gifting her his daughter's parasol, saying that Violet was the reason that his daughter's quote-unquote one day wish came true. And this is the exact moment when Violet's past comes back to haunt her. Now that she has learned how to empathize with others, she can truly realize the gravity of her actions and begins to blame herself for the people that she had killed. She realizes that she herself had taken away several of those one-day dreams from people who had families, friends, and hopes. Violet begins to break down and begins to question if she even has the right to live. I would like to point out here that this outcome was foreshadowed at the very beginning of this episode. The very first scene of this episode showed us a character in a stage play, written by none other than Oscar himself. In the final sequence of the play, the protagonist says the word, "I must live with my sin forever." And that, at the end of the episode, is exactly what happens with Violet. As the words of Hodgins, or as the Japanese version calls him, Hodgins, come rushing back to her, and she truly feels that her body is on fire due to the sense of her past. And just when we think that Violet has hit rock bottom, she comes to know about the death of Major Gilbert. Violet's entire life comes crashing down right before her eyes. The entire reason why she started her journey as a doll is now gone. At this point, even the viewer is questioning the path that Violet will take. Where does she go now? Now that she has no reason to pursue the goal that she initially set out to achieve, Violet finally comes to understand the most brutal emotion of them all, grief. We also see Violet go through all 5 stages of grief, but since she has no prior experience with true emotional loss, the 5 stages in her case come in no particular order and are really disorganized. Anger and denial come together as she denies the death of Gilbert to anyone who tells her about it, and simultaneously continues to snap at anyone who says that Gilbert is no more. The stage of bargain comes soon after, as Violet sees Gilbert's grave, as she reasons that she might find something if she removes the debris that remained after the Battle of Intense. But once Hodgins picks her up and leaves her home, she enters the stage of depression. She refuses to come out for several days and barely eats anything. Once again, out of nowhere, Violet is momentarily taken by anger as she tries to choke herself and end her own misery. Her emotions at this point are completely haywire. However, while Violet spends most of her time in the darkest corners of her own mind, Roland comes to her with a new letter. The letter is from Iris and Erica. Before Violet can even open the letter, she sees that Roland is still delivering letters at this time of the night and volunteers to help him. Roland tells her that each of these letters consists of someone's emotions, which is exactly why they all deserve to be delivered. Violet is reminded in this exact moment of the reason why she does what she does, the exact reason why she takes pride in the profession that she is a part of. While she started out with just one goal in mind, over time being a doll had become more than just a profession to her. It had become something special and important. Going back a couple of episodes during her conversation with Leon, she calls being a doll a wonderful job. And her conversation with Roland acts as a reminder to her that there is more to these letters than just the pursuit of her own individual goal. Episode 10 and 11 follow a common theme that is continued between these two episodes. In the previous episode, upon reading the letter from Erica and Iris, Violet comes to realize that even reading a letter from those who care about you can bring us a sense of joy. And this is exactly the theme that is carried in this episode. In episode 10, we see Violet visit a mansion where a dying lady has hired her to write letters which are supposed to reach her daughter Anne. From the very beginning of the episode, it is evident that Anne's mother does not have too long left to live, and yet she constantly spends time with Violet, getting those letters typed. Seeing Anne struggle with her belief that her sick mother does not want to spend time with her is heartbreaking and almost made me question if the contents of those letters were even worth it. But as soon as the 7 days of Violet's visit are over, we come to know what the letters are about. Anne's mother had been writing these letters for her daughter to receive over the next 50 years. Those letters would reach Anne for the rest of her life, making sure that her mother's love can always stay with her, even if her mother herself could not. This whole theme of love can stay with us even when our loved ones cannot is carried on to the next episode as Violet comes face to face with the ugly consequences of war. When the company receives a call from the battlefield, Hodgins decides to ignore the request, unwilling to send any of his dolls to an actual battlefield. However, without informing Hodgins, Violet takes it upon herself to go to a literal battlefield just so that she could write the letter for her client. She of course did not need to do this, but this once again goes on to show just how far she has come when it comes to valuing the feelings and emotions of other people, as she remembers that each letter has the emotions of a person in them, and that is why they deserve to be delivered. She goes back to the circumstances that she had left behind all those years ago, only to find that her client, Alden, is taking his final breaths. In his final moments, Alden conveys his last message for his parents and Maria, the girl that he has mutual feelings for. He entrusts Violet to deliver his message, and of course Violet keeps her word. I would also like to point out that in both of these episodes, Violet could empathize with the loss of a loved one, and that led her to cry both of the times. A small but very crucial detail in showing her progression as a person. At this point, Violet almost feels like a complete person, except one thing. There is still one thing that holds her back from being the person that she truly can be, and that is her attachment to her own past. Violet might have accepted the death of Gilbert, but she has still not moved on from it. Not just his death, but she is also held back by his former presence in her life, which still looms large and holds her back from becoming the person who is truly free. And this is where episode 12 comes into play and beautifully helps Violet turn into a person of her own. Catalia and Benedict are shown traveling to Distery in order to attend the signing of a peace treaty. As things currently stand, Darkfried is entrusted with protecting the envoy. Violet, returning from her previous assignment, decides to join Catalia and Benedict for the sake of their own protection, but the anti-peace faction led by General Merkulov have already infiltrated the train at this point. As the train leaves the station, the rebel forces decide to stage an attack. Violet does fight back, but she refuses to kill anyone. This once again goes on to show that she completely wants to leave her past behind, not realizing the fact that she still remains under its influence. I would also like to point out that General Merkulov acts as the perfect foil for Violet. They are both people who are still somewhat stuck in their past. While Merkulov refuses to move on from a war that has already ended, Violet remains under the influence of Gilbert as a superior rather than his influence as a person. As Violet is restrained by the rebel forces, Darkfried rescues her and admits that he blames her for not protecting his brother, and goes as far as to say that she has no right to live. However, Violet tells him that Gilbert's last order to her was that she must live. When I first watched this scene, I was kind of saddened by the fact that Violet still took Gilbert's last words as an order more than anything else. And I do not really mean it in a bad way. I felt sad, but I also really appreciated the fact that they did not rush Violet's development and was very curious to see if she would actually end up becoming a free person. As the conflict continues between the two forces, Merkulov jumps into the river, telling Violet and Darkfried that the bridge has been rigged to explode. While Violet, with the help of Benedict, does manage to save the day, she loses her arms in the process. This entire conflict, I believe, was one of the most important aspects in the series, as it acted as an eye-opener for Violet. Merkulov's mere presence was meant to be a warning for both Violet as well as the viewers. Much like Violet herself, Merkulov remained under the influence of his past, and it was for Violet to see just how far a person like that could go. She saw right in front of her eyes what people can turn into when they allow their past to dictate their present. And while it is not explicitly stated in the series, I truly do believe that this is one of the major reasons why Violet was finally able to make that final change. In the beginning of this video, I pointed out how our hands are symbolic of our humanity, and because Violet's hands were made of metal, it was symbolic of the fact that she was not a real human being. She was completely detached from her humanity, a blank slate in the form of a human being. But as the peace treaty is signed and we reach the final episode of this anime, we see Violet getting new arms. Metal arms, yes, but new arms nonetheless. Her new arms act as a symbolism for a new beginning, a newly formed connection with humanity, and a whole new perspective on life. Violet is now a free person. When Dietfried commands her to live in honor of Gilbert's final words, Violet says that she does not need commands anymore. All the episodes up until this point had been building up to this. All those tiny moments of Violet exercising her own free will from time to time were leading to this eventual outcome. Violet decides that she no longer wants to live in order to honor Gilbert's final command, but instead wants to live in order to honor his final wish. A seemingly small difference, but as important as it gets for someone like Violet. In her final conversation with Mrs. Gilbert, the latter tells her that she does not blame her for her son's death, and that even if her son is not with her anymore, his memories will always remain. And this is exactly what I believe Violet Evergarden's whole point had always been. As Violet writes her final letter to Major Gilbert, she admits to finally have understood the meaning of his final words. And I must say, Violet truly does understand what love is at this point, and so do the viewers. Love is a journey. There is a reason why there was an episode dedicated to each emotion that Violet learned, but there was no such episode for love. Something like that could not have been conveyed in just an episode. It is a journey, a culmination of everything that Violet has learned and accepted so far. Everything, and more importantly, everyone that has helped her become the person that she is now. One of the running themes in this series was that sometimes even when our loved ones cannot be with us, their affection and love will always watch over us. And it was a true delight for me to actually be able to watch Violet understand this concept. The fact that even if Major Gilbert was not with her anymore, she can still live her life as a free person, because he will always watch over her. Because that is exactly what our loved ones do.